Hello, good morning to some, and what's it called? It's Easter, isn't it? It's Happy Easter to everyone. Actually, I've totally lost track of the days. I didn't realize it's Easter weekends. So yeah, my Easter activities involved gardening in the morning, and now just fixing heating. Or continuing where we left off. I didn't do much. I introduced just the temperature, so we're gonna get back to it, and I'll show you what I did. And they're gonna have a smart recap. Yeah, no problem. For the recap, it's gonna be a small recap what we've done and how everything, all parts work. So I hope you're having a great time and a great Easter despite the circumstances. I have some of the morning coffee left. It's cold, but it's the way I like it. So let's take a look at what we've done last time and how it works. So for now, just gonna minimize it. Okay, there's a bit of a mess that we're gonna have to fix. I've added one more sensor, by the way. Okay. There is one more thing I actually want to try out, and it's gonna involve the movement sensors, the PIRs, and we'll try to set the leading temperature where there was an activity in the last couple of minutes or something like that. We'll try to figure out if it's worth doing, maybe it's not, I don't know. I'm hoping for some feedback from you guys. So last time, what we've been, let's first maybe go through overview. So I'm just gonna zoom in, and we're gonna start talking about it. So this is settings. This is where you define your variables, and in variables you can define a couple of things. You can define let's maybe just open. It's gonna be easier. So you can define your temperature, the default temperature. I've set it to 21, but you can do anything. And this is the temperature when you're gonna say, hello, the smart assistant, could you set the heating on without specifying temperature? We'll aim for the 21. And 1730 to 23, it's displaying this eco leaf on the there's a small leaf in this area. I'll just kind of move it here. There's a small leaf in this area. So you can see that's what I've added last time, and you have the ability to set the different rooms as a leading temperatures, and that will update your information. So let's go back to whole. You can see it updates correctly. I fixed the code. There was a couple of glitches, but I fixed it. And we're gonna try to also play with Nora and add that Google integration properly. So that's the setting bit. Now, parts I've changed. First of all, that was the new bit that we did in the last live stream, and that was updating a leading sensor. So I've reorganized the data slightly because I've done that in one way, and then I wanted to introduce a couple of functions, and it didn't work quite as well, so I've reorganized it. But what it does basically, it checks what is the leading sensor, so it checks what the selector on here, what's the selector is on here, and sets that as a leading sensor in your variable, and that leading sensor is later on used to trace the temperature. So because we're dealing with hysteresis, we have to average this, so it does that over 15 readings, and then it updates that information, whether it's the temperature or whether it's the humidity, to the ambient reading. So you have a humidity ambient and temperature ambient, and those I've used humidity as well because that value is supported for Google Home. 34 in the kitchen, maybe it's no. Actually, if you watch the previous stream, you'll know that sensors are they're not fake, they're real temperatures, but in here I've got a sensor hub, and it's just on top of the Raspberry Pi. So there are 3 temperature sensors that I'm using. The only live temperature right now that is actually linked, and that's why it's set as a leading, is Hall. The Hall is actually the real temperature downstairs from the Sonoff. The rest of them is just the development temperatures. Oh no, I apologize. This is the wireless Office. So Office one is working as well from a wireless Zigbee sensor. So the other one is just need different temperature for testing scenarios. Really, that's what it is. And having that big range of temperature allows you to switch off the heating very efficiently, because if you jump from one temperature of 20 to 30, it's going to be instant change. So it helps. So that was the bit. Now, I've removed from the flow that is available to download on my website, I've removed everything that was related to gibberish, which is no longer with us. We're going to use Nora, and I've used Nora to kind of, it works to the point when it was updating the information, but I couldn't set the set point yet, because the set point was triggered by this update rather than me moving thermostat in here. So that should be triggering the set point, nothing else. So it's going to be connected somewhere in the update where the slider is posting, and we're going to convert that into the thermostat information as well, so it kind of synced up. All right, and lastly, there's a couple of things I've added. So I've moved my temperature sensors. I've added 2 temperature sensors. This is this one is I should label them properly, because they don't label them Hall. So this is my Hall sensor. And this is my Hall sensor. Come on. Hall, and that's Tuya Zigbee sensor that I'm using. And this is the DHT11 on did I do it or it's all the way around, damn it. Sorry, this is this one, the one in office. That's Tuya, and this is my DHT11 on Summit, and that's in the hall. Okay, that's office, and those 2 temperatures, as well as the temperatures from the sensor hub, which I'm using a Python script to get the information. So those are my temperatures, and they all just get rid of this. They all go to one place, which is this store temperature script. And this store temperature script, basically, it would take our readings from the sensor and would take the topic, which is the name of the room, and it would compose this beautiful object in here, which has your room name, it has a temperature and humidity reading. So, and it composed that for every single room that I have in here. And if you add the new ones, it's already equipped. The only thing that you have to do is just add another if statement for every single room that you're going to introduce. And that's pretty much everything you need to do. So that's I guess that's a recap. Everything else left the same. What I've added, I've added these. These are just text, so there is not much in here. I'm just using a payload temperature, and I've kind of just matched them around. So if we're going to go for our layout first, let me find the proper one. It's not this one. It's this one, isn't it? Let's have a look. Go on. Yeah, it is. So let's go to layout. So I just align them in such way. Let me just maybe move my camera a little bit. Cool. Align them in such way that there is a text element and there is a switch. I could include the switch as a label, etc. But I just did it in this way. Otherwise, I would have to submit another payload to here with a label. It's just too much work. So each label is just getting a payload temperature, and it's displays that's on this dashboard in here for information, and I just needed to shift them around so they would match the same level, so there is nothing exciting going on in here, but it helps you to see that temperature, I guess. Alright, so we're done. And so I don't know wherever you can start. We can either start with taking a look at the PRRs. You could have one in each room if you want, and you could use this to actually trigger the switches. So if you have the switches in here, right, instead of manually going to here and saying like, you know what, I'm gonna spend time in the office, I want my temperature to be tracing the office. You could do this to trigger temperature by PRR, and depending where you are. Obviously, there's a couple of things that you have to think ahead. First of all, how often you're going to change the rooms and how often do you want to migrate this. Second of all would be, what if you have more than one people living in a household, how you want to resolve that. There is a couple, I actually spent some time thinking about it. There's a couple of ways I would approach it. In my circumstances, there's a couple of members in the household, and they move about, so it would be constantly switching the active rooms, which is far from ideal, I guess. But you could resolve this by implementing an array which holds all the rooms that have been recently triggered. And if the room was triggered, then it stays in that array for, let's say, a couple of minutes. I don't know how often you want to do it, but it stays in that array for a couple of minutes, and the temperature is submitted to this array. Now, then you take an average of these rooms and you kind of average that temperature, and you use this as your ambient. So if you have 3 rooms that are active and they have the PRR sensors, as long as the rooms are set to active, let's say one is at 19, one is at 20, and one is at 21, your average is going to be 20. So it's going to keep on going until the heating keep on going until the temperature in 3 different rooms. It's going to be at the same average level, and if that's the case, then it's going to turn off the heating. Now, you could sum that. You can just simply sum up elements of the arrays. The only thing that you would have to develop is the way of pushing one of these information about the room into that array and remove that when it's no longer valid. So how you could do this is, I've mentioned inching before, and I think inching would actually work quite far, because what it would do, it would submit the payload with the room for a specific amount of minutes. So let's say if you trigger this, you could submit that room for the database for, let's say, I don't know, 10 minutes, let's say, maybe 5 minutes. I don't know how often you want to trigger this. And it stays obviously there until another one is being triggered. And then once it's expired, you remove it from it. And the inching setting would allow me to trigger this positive and then trigger this negative. And I can use the negative trigger to remove that room from the array. So that could be something we could do. I don't know how complicated that would be and whether it would work, but it's an idea. I don't know what is your heating situation and how would you like to trace that, but it's one of the things we can do. But I think first we're just gonna resolve the issue with the thermostat that we had. So we use the Nora for this, and I have a couple of settings in here. I've got heat on, and eco. And the problem I've modified this to submit this payload. So this is what you need to submit to make the heater work. You need to submit the mode it takes either heat, eco, or off, and you need to submit the temperature, which is the ambient temperature, and the set point, which is your goal, the temperature, your target temperature. And I've created 2 conditions. If I for one for the temperature and one for the humidity, each time checking what happens with my heating state. So I'm using my heating state. Now I have to work with this because right now heating state is heating and off. So those are 2 values, and I really should have them as true or false, because it's much easier later to keep the same values. So that needs to be fixed, and the reason I have it heating or off is because of this. This is the original Nest graphics I've been using for this, and obviously I've used my mouse again to adjust the temperature. And obviously I didn't code it myself, so I kind of borrowed this code and adapted for my use. I've made some conversions, but because I only made conversions to change what kind of payloads it would supply, because it needed 5 payloads before to update everything. Now it needs 1. I didn't change the values of it, and I should have thought about it earlier and bulletproof the design. So you scroll down all the way to the down, you'll see that in here you store some values, right? And those values, we need to basically look for the values and how it displays it somewhere here in the functions. So it's gonna be a bit of a work, because I know it takes different to change the color. It takes the heating. For cooling, it has a cooling, heating, and off. So you have a orange interface, you have a black interface for off, and you have blue interface for cooling. And I don't have a cooling system, so I don't have this supported. But if I want to change, this is the thing, if I want to change, then I would break the cooling component of it. It's not a big issue for me, but for some of you that use air conditioner, that could be a deal breaker, well, having this positive and negative values. But another way would be just convert everything unto up to this point here. So in here I'm using true, false, and then there is just a switch node that translates that into a proper payload. So that's another way of solving this, and maybe that might be the approach I'm gonna take. The Amazon Echo is working fine, so there is no much I have to do with this. So yeah. All right, so let's take a look at the update. So slider gives me a topic slider and gives me a value of the slider on each update. Now, ideally, I could use that to set a set point, so I can create either entry here and feed it to this node and remove the set point from here. Or, yeah, I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to remove the set point from here, because I'm not going to adjust the set point on temperatures and changes. I'm going to adjust the set point on movement of a slider or Alexa input. So this update executes every 5 seconds. So I'm going to feed it from here, because on slider I have an instant update, and every 5 seconds I've got additional updates. So I'm going to show you how does it look like. So let's connect this payload node. Come on. And let's set it to message object. Okay. Let's change it to current flow, delete everything, and deploy. Control D is deploy as well. Okay, so this is that one. Okay, we can stop this now. So this is your object that you're gonna receive, and now you can see we have information about the status. We have the information about the target temperature, the ambient temperature. That's pretty much all we need, really. So I can use these to remap it as a set point. So if I want to do that as a set point, I guess, should I do it as a function node? That's a good question. Let's try do it as a function node. So I would have to change first message ambient, and we are changing this to, sorry, and that's going to be here and the bottom. Where's message? So the value is going to be, and we are feeding that's payload dot set temperature. Okay, now we're gonna add the second set, and that's gonna be our target, which is a set point. So that's message, target, and that's set point. Okay, we don't have information about humidity here, I think. No, we don't. So that's all. Do we need a topic? Let's have a look at. We're not going to feed into this. We're gonna feed it directly to a thermostat. So let's move this one aside. And I think we are ready to connect this one here. And do we need anything else? We have ambient. We have our state. We need a state. So I think that's set to a heating in the current circumstances. So let's take a look. Let's deploy this again, cancel, deploy, and let's turn the heating up. Okay, Let's see what happens. Still off. Heating, yeah, so the setting is heating. So right now we're just gonna keep it as heating. So it's this one. I can't do this. Let me turn off the heating. We don't need to run it. Go on. Oh, I have a problem somewhere already. Come on, what's going on? Okay, so because my what was it called, guys? What was it called? HVAC. So I can do HVAC and I can do this as a mode. So mode, but the values in here is not going to be correct. So I think I'm just going to use function node instead, because in function node I can change all of that in a single node instead of two nodes. So that's going to be better. So let's write that in my VS. Where's my VS? VS Code here. So let's open a new one. If you change the state of a debug node, you don't need to deploy. Does it? Did they fix that? I used to have to deploy this and stuff like that. Why does it have a? Can I have just a new file? New file. Okay. All right. So let's see. Now works. And we're writing this one. Okay. So what we're gonna get? We're gonna get a couple of variables, right? So we're gonna have our variable mode, which is gonna be message HVAC. We're gonna have var temperature, which is let's add the JavaScript language. Have a lovely colors. So that's our message. Was it what was it? And target? No, sorry, not target. Ambient. Ambient. We have our variable temperature set point, which is our message target. Okay, we've got this, and now we need to submit a payload. So message payload, which is a object, and in this object we're gonna have mode, and we're gonna have temperature, and we're going to have set point. Okay. So our set point is set point. Our temperature is temp, and our mode is mode. Okay, so this is our payload that we need to submit. Now we need to change the what as our payload, so we can return this anyway because we're going to be returning. So return message. That's great. And we need to just do small if mode equals heating. Then mode is on. When you have three states, right? And this is, by the way, a string. So off. Probably don't have to do this one because the state is going to be the same, but I'm going to do it anyway. And the last one, did I have it in eco? Does it have an eco state? I don't remember now. Okay, we're gonna do it anyway, just in case. echo, and we have this one off. Okay, right. We'll see if that works, but I don't expect any problems now. Heating on. Heat, sorry, not on. Sorry, we're supposed to get heat off. Echo. Okay, let's take a look. Let's take a look and see what happens. So let's copy this. Okay, let's deploy. Let's open my mobile. Actually, I went cycling yesterday and I've damaged my my hand. I can't squeeze stuff. It's quite difficult sometimes. Where's my? I need to reconnect my mobile screen. So let's take a look. Come on. It's takes so much time to reconnect it. Probably gonna be quicker if I'm gonna restart the screen mirroring. Sorry guys. I need to restart this. Come on. I'm using NodeRED to share the screen from my mobile, and for some reason, okay, I've got it. So let's go to Google Home. Let's cast this. Yay. Okay, so we're gonna open thermostat, and we're gonna show you this one. So right now it's set off. So now the set point should be matching, but it's not going to display until the heating is on, because right now this one acknowledges that the heating is off. So when I select, for example, the lowest temperature 20, now when I'm gonna raise the heating over 20, it should turn the thermostat on the Google side. Okay, let's have a look. So the thermostat is off. Let's refresh my thermostat here. Okay, so now it's updating from Google, but does it update from this one? Let's have a look. 5 seconds it's gonna take. So from 23 to 22. Okay, so now it's updating. That's what we wanted. The temperature from this one is mirrored to my thermostat, which is on the screen on the Google Home. So, all right. You should really write CS6 JavaScript. Well, I'm being lazy. I'm not a programmer. I just tinker. So that's one of the things I'm self-taught in terms of programming. So any mistakes, blame Google. Okay, right, so this is working now. So we have this figure out that's gonna be connecting. Now we need to change. Actually, if I go this, let's have a look how I processed Alexa. So this is the information from the Alexa I've got, and do I default temperature, turn on request. I update the target temperature, which is okay. All right, so if I'm going to send the temperature, okay, let's try this. It should update automatically. So right now the temperature is 22 degrees, and it's 22 degrees now, and I'm going to call my Amazon. So if you have Amazon close by, I would suggest you to mute it now. Feel warned. Alexa, set heating to 19 degrees.
Is set to 19.
So within 5 seconds, I should get the off on this one and then on mobile as well. Come on, don't let me down. Let's have a look if that's updated. Target temperature 22 still. Oh, come on. Did I broke something? Okay, let's have a look and see what just happened. What did I break? Yeah, that's correct. Let's refresh. Did I get the request? Let's have a look. Right, deploy. Where's my debug here? So let's go. Alexa, set heating to 19.
Is set to 19.
Okay. Will you listen now? Let's have a look. Okay, there is a problem. I don't know what happened, but there is a problem. So let's take a look at what just happened. So there is an update here for Amazon Echo for sure. So let's have a look. Set temperature, target, message, payload. Yeah, that's number, and that should be updating. Let's give myself a full object and let's test it again. Alexa, set heating to 19.
Is set to 19.
Okay. Okay, and let's have a look what just happened. Something tells me, right, that I didn't have this before because I've not touched it for a long time, and I think that's what was messing about. So I have a command in here which is set temperature request and the payload, and that's what I was using previously. So let's have a look again. That was in response when I set temperature request. It's my range, payload false, there's the range, set target temperature request. You should update the target here. Okay, I've got a return message here. That's for this. Okay, so I don't have an update in here for the variable, for the flow variable. No, I don't. So I should get an update in here. I don't know why. Okay, so if it's not here, is it in a control relay? No, because I only have turn on updates here. So something changed with how the Amazon Echo is processing it. So we need to add update, and our update is where is the flow set? Can take this, and so we need to put it. Yeah, that's gonna be fine. And that's a message payload we're talking about. No, because payload is changed here. So let's move it slightly higher. And then message payload. Great, and we need to add this to, by the way, this is value message payload true. Okay, that should fix it. Let's have a look. Alexa, set heating to 19.
Is set to 19.
Ah, now it works. So let's see if that worked for the thermostat. So let's reopen the thermostat. And it's off because it's set to 19. Okay, so we sorted it out. So right now the thermostat is fully integrated. I can change the temperature. And so let's try it out. Now, there is a caveat to it, because the thermostat on Alexa doesn't work the same way as it works on Google, so I cannot submit the information to Alexa without asking her first and getting a request. So that's the only way I can do it. So the temperature on Amazon Echo is not going to be updated there if I change it elsewhere, but you can still use the voice commands, and I don't really use the app, so it's okay. So to test it, if I'm going to, let's say, Alexa, set temperature to 23.
Is set to 23.
Okay, and now when I'm gonna do the Google refresh, it's gonna be on 23 as well. So let's go here. Give it 5 seconds for the delay for the refresh rate on my system. And I should have it at 23 degrees. And if I change it to 22, that should update in a couple of seconds. Okay, yay! Google Home integrated. Congratulations me and you for sticking around. So yeah, so that's done. Okay, so you give me it, because this is done, right? This part is done. So are we doing PRs? Is it something you would like to be interested in seeing? Are we doing this? Like, how would you like to implement? How would you use PRR sensors? Because I gave you the options at the beginning of this live stream, saying like this is what we could do, and we can try it. I completely don't know whether it would be beneficial in terms of from, you know, a saving any money perspective or something. It has a merit. So if you're staying in a certain room, you could use a PR just to focus the temperature on that room and make sure you don't, you know, you don't need it, especially if you like, this is a very small room and it heats up really quickly. So if I'm being here and constantly triggering them, this, and then it would make sense, because I would only trace the temperature here. This room is fairly warm, so the heating would be on the minimum amount of time possible, because it would heat up this room and turns off as soon as this room is done. Now there's a couple of problems with this, because like I said, it's easy to assume. Hey Tom, you're right, and thank you. It's easy to assume that, you know, or our humans' brains works in mysterious ways, and yeah, for us it's easy, right? I'm here, temperature should be tracing here, but for computers it's a little bit more complicated. So there is a couple of things we have to predict. First of all, this thing will trigger once in a while, because I'm going to move a little, and I need the computer to understand where I am in a room, but also where I am in a room and I'm not moving. So I want this to kind of, I don't need the mobile anymore. So I don't want this to disappear from the list of the rooms to control, only because I want, no, maybe it's a different way to explain it. I want, let's say I'm in office. I'm gonna use the example, right? I'm tracing an office. So right now, I'm just going to show you, I'm tracing, I should turn off the heating by the way. So right now I'm tracing an office. So if I'm sitting here and this kicks off and monitors that I'm in office right now, everything's alright and everything is cool, and you know the PR is triggering in office and letting you know that office should be used as a temperature. Now that should only change if I'm gonna change the room. So if I'm physically gonna leave this room and go to another room, then that another room should be added to the array. That's it. Because as long as I'm staying in this room, that should be used as my trigger point. Now if you have a multiple people in a room, that complicates stuff, because you have to do the same pattern for multiple sensors, and that's what's going to be very difficult about this task, to make it work and also make it, I don't know, it's maybe efficient or logical, because at the end of the day you just want to make sure it works, and because if you don't care about money in terms of electricity, just stick the heating all day and that's it. But that's not the point, isn't it? It's supposed to use as little as possible when needed. So yeah, so let me think about, oh, my nose is really itchy, guys. Don't know why. Okay, so how would I approach this? Okay, first I will clean up. There is a chart. Probably we should actually take a quick look at the chart as well. So there is a heating chart. right now it's not going, it's kind of working a bit. So the chart needs to be redone now because it weren't showing you multiple sensors. Now I have to kind of trace the multiple sensors at the same time and reflect this, because right now all those jumps are between different temperatures and stuff like that. So that's pretty much, I can get rid of this because the chart is gonna be completely redone. Don't need this, don't need this. Let's clean this up because it's still a bit of a mess. We're not updating the sensor yet, so let's connect this. Let's make sure there is no set point in here. We're sticking this because it was turning off. If you don't supply this one in your payload, it will turn off your thermostat on a Google, so you don't want this. You want to check what is the state of the heating and then submit the values. So okay, so we have this. Let's clean this up a little bit. Yeah, cool. Okay. So that's gonna just submit the temperature. When this temperature chart, we're gonna redesign it. So I'm gonna keep it. Settings gonna stay. Now I already duplicated this, so I can remove this, the temperature, and that's gonna be redesigned. So that's gonna stay. There is a new option in. Hello Ben, you're right. There is a new option in the new NodeRED where you can actually make visible groups. I don't know if you've seen that, but that's going to be awesome. No, let's have a look. NodeRED blog. Where did I see it? Let's go to Twitter. Twitter is the best source of information. NodeRED. I think I've seen that on a NodeRED post. No, that's a 1.0. Okay, let's go on Nick's account. Nick. I'm pretty sure he posted it. This one. So you can group the nodes like this, and that's pretty cool because you'll be able to comment this and move it together, and it's gonna be much more fun from the tutorial standpoint to do it. So yeah, okay, so let's organize it. So this is our temperature here, so let's kind of zoom out a little bit, move stuff around. Not going to need this. Oops. So this is for Tasker, it's not implemented yet, it's been a lot. So this is a measure temperature updates, and we can get rid of this. And those are my temperatures. And I'm just going to move this one here. This is my temperature update as well. Maybe like move this one first. I'm just going to reorganize my work so it would be logical, at least for me. Okay. So this is temperature updates. I'm gonna label this in a second. Okay. Come on. Like this. No, those are our toggles. I don't need this one. And we can reorganize this a little bit better. So it would have kind of more sense. Okay, so let's take a closer look at the mess we've created. So we have a temperature updates, and those are my sensors, and probably I should just name them per room. So whole, and then sensor type in brackets, like this. That makes more sense. Yeah, this is office. Okay, those are fake sensors. I'll bring some more sensors in a second. Okay, so this is just for development. that changes the payload type. That's assign the correct topics to 3 different sensors. Obviously, if you don't use this, you're gonna end up with something like this instead of something like that, depending what kind of sensors you're using. And this is just a flow to update the function node to update the temperature. And then to feed that into a graphical interface, we have this. So let's kind of do it like this. Living room, hall, office, kitchen, bedroom. So those are corresponding nodes. Let's align them really nicely to please my OCD. Put that here. Okay, this is our Google component. This is update temps, temp and humidity. Cool. This is set point update. Cool. So this is how you feed the Google. So let's add the comment and comment even. Google Home component. Okay. Now this is our Nest interface. This is our relay. Come on, just relay. And this is our Alexa. Obviously, I triggered mine. And this is update. Okay, like this. A bit like that, so you could just see that this is connected. Update relay, and this is to be redone. So I'm just gonna keep it here. Okay, that looks a little bit nicer and more organized, I think. So let's redeploy it. Done. Okay, so Google is working. We have different sensors. I could run around the office and bring more. I've got like sensor for almost every room. Almost. There's a couple of missing, but we've did it with like 5 now, right? So we have 5. If I remember it, yeah, we have a 5 correctly. So how we would do the PRRs? Let's try it. I still have 1 hour before I have to go. So let's hook up. I have 1 from Tuya and 1 from IKEA. So that should give you a kind of some overview. I need some batteries because they're not connected, so we need to quickly pair them. So they take awkward batteries. So this one's take like this big battery. I'm still disabled. It hurts when I try to do stuff. Can't believe I was yesterday. I went for my state approved exercise, and don't know why. I just fancy some like. Was close to home, but I fancy some sprinting, and I must have bent my arm or hand palm in a weird way, and it caused me to strain it, and now I can't grab anything because it hurts. Okay, so this one's almost done. Come on, come on, come on, come on. Alright, and you can actually, this is the thing, is a couple of things. You can trigger this with Zigbee bridge from Sonoff. So I could actually import a Sonoff Zigbee bridge into it using my EWLink flow that I've, let me just show you, because I talked about the API possible for EWLink. So I could use that to actually get the information to NodeRED without hacking anything of it, which is cool. But I've got a Zigbee set up, so I'm just going to do it this way. So it's one of this thing. Something's giving me a... this error is connected to these, so actually, you know what? I can just get rid of that for now, because I'm not going to do it now. So, okay. Clear this. So once battery is done, and let me open the other one, because this one has a bolt in here. We're just gonna and we're just gonna change the battery, or add the batteries, because it doesn't have any batteries, and deal with it. We need a small screwdriver. This one will do. And the IKEA one is on CR32, but it uses 2 of them. Almost there. We're gonna add 2 of the sensors. They use the Zigbee to MQTT, so it's gonna be very easy to set up. So also, this is I've printed out myself a storage for the batteries for Zigbee devices. It's the best thing I ever made, honestly. This is so practical. I need 2 of them. Right, let's look it up and we'll be able to play it. So the idea, because I only have 2 PR sensors, the idea is you could use actually input from cameras if you want as well. It's up to you. As long as you can get true/false information, that will be fine. Oh, come on. All right, and just close the sensor. And we'll see if I can have any semi-reasonable solution to this. If I could use that PR information to switch from one sensor to another without wreaking havoc in a heating system. Okay, so those are 2 done. All I need to do is just pair them using. They're already paired. They're already added to Zigbee to MQTT because I've not deleted them, but I need to repair them. Oh, with all the batteries. Come on, really? It's not what I need right now. Never mind, said not going to slide. No. Okay, so they should be paired. I just need to add them. So let's open my thingy. Let's give you a bit of an overview what I'm doing. Okay, so let's pair this one, just holding it. Okay, so what is it called? Tuya PR1. Okay, so let's go to this one. I can just clone this and add it here because it's going to be a Tuya PR1, and we're gonna add the debug just to confirm it's working. And we need IKEA. Is the IKEA even connected? IKEA well, it's named as IKEA remote. Interesting. So let's change this. That's not IKEA remote. Let's find IKEA remote. Okay, so we have we can duplicate this to make sure we got it working. And this is, let's say this is Office PR, and that's gonna be my IKEA stuff. IKEA. Okay, and this is my, let's say, bedroom. And this is Tuya PR. Okay, and deploy. Something gives me error here. What gives me a failed and it's not a function? What just gave me this notification? Can't see it. Anyone? It's a problem with Alexa account. Okay, I'll investigate later. Never mind. Right, we have this. It's not so practical without a cover. Alright, so we have those two sensors. They should be right now reporting. Let's have a look. Okay, I have Tuya reporting. IKEA is probably on a timeout right now, so I'm just gonna give it a couple of it's 1 minute timeout it said, so I'm gonna give it a couple of moments and I'm gonna test it. I'm just facing it towards the wall right now, so I can move about. And so if that's working, we start to think how to implement this. Hopefully, I can come up with something decent. No, still not reporting. Should I just maybe I'll just repair it just to be sure. I still got a IKEA remote in here. Occupancy true. What you? I'm pretty sure I saved the information. I have to restart the Zigbee probably. Yeah. Yeah, that's what I need to do. What was the command for starting Zigbee? Oh! Yeah, great, I can't spell. That's the one. Never remember these things. Okay. Okay, it's reporting correctly. I can see it here. And I can see Tuya and I can see IKEA here. Yeah, we home. Okay, cool. So I can close this. We can start working on this. Okay. I'm out of coffee. So the deal is, if one of the sensors, I'm just going to face them to the wall right now, so it would be easy to trigger them when I need it. So if one of the sensors is reporting, I want this information to become a default information, right? So if you just want to do it on trigger, it's very easy because we did that already. We have update leading sensor. All you have to do is just link the topic of that information. So we would have to add the information about the topic, which room is it, and just send it to the same flow, and that's it. And it will switch it automatically. But we want this information to be retained, and I think the way we could do it is, I think, draw the averages for each reporting room. So how long should we leave that information in the store? So we're gonna need an array in which we're going to, it's like array from here, from the flow. It's gonna be a one that's gonna have just all the information about the temperature, and I need information about the room as well, because I need to find the element and delete it when the room becomes empty. So let's start with building an array then. So I'm just going to switch to VS Code. Open new file. Open new file. Okay. So if the sense is true, what we want to do, we want to get the information about, it's going to be the same flow responsible for removing the objects as well. Or do we need, no, because we need a buffer. So that's, let's try to add it. So fail payload. So pay. Let's do this. That's our message payload. And that'll tell us true or false, right? We also need topic, room, topic, and let's add the JS. Cool. So we've got this, and what we need to do, we're gonna need a function that will take the temperature of that room So how do we update this individual instances of the room? Because obviously the temperature in the room will change and we need to get that value updated. So each time we need to take that value from the room, take the value of the current temperature and replace it. So we need to update this existing information. So let's do this way. Maybe you go have a room and it's going to be our object or array or object. I think it's going to be our array for now, or maybe object. Let's do the object. And that probably will gonna be taken from the flow variables, but right now we don't have it, so flow get, and what are we gonna name it? Active rooms, maybe? Okay, and we're just gonna get that for later. So that's where I'm gonna be keeping this information in active room. So where to start? We need to retrieve the information about the temperature. So that's gonna be, we already have a room, so to retrieve the temperature, and that's gonna be variable temperature is flow get, and we're getting it from the room, which is our topic, so our room. Okay. Sorry, that's gonna be on data. Okay, and then our temperature. It's gonna be our data. Dot temp. We're probably going to wrap it in a function in a second because it's going to be easier to execute the function. Function to retrieve, so get temperature. Function. Room, we need to specify the room. Can I do it with can I do it with this? Just hold on a second. I need to think about it. I've got a brain dead right now. If I'm gonna get that applied to, no, because no. No, that's gonna be like the way I did it anyway. Like this. Okay, that's going to give us our temperature, and so we need to write temperature. Also room. So we're going to update this. So that's going to be our new temperature. So it takes room and it takes temperature. And we have lack of equals. All right, take care, Federico. Hope you have a good day. And that's going to be updating temperature. So we're going to be taking update temperature. It's going to be in that active array. So we're going to take the temperature and we're going to do this. Flow set active rooms active room, because what's going to happen is we're going to have this one stored. So we're going to update this, I think, in the end. I'll figure out in a second. I'm just going to kind of do the concept first. And once I've got the concept, then it's fine. So we have the temperature, which is going to be in active room. What is our data format now? Because I don't have active rooms yet. So I want to have probably something like this. Let's give it a go, like active. Active rooms would be looking something like this. Would have a room. Should we have like an array, I guess, maybe? Maybe I should have an array instead. And then in array, I'm gonna have a object for each room, and then I would have in each object I would have room. I would have room name. Then I would have maybe information about temperature. So temp. So it's 22, whatever. And what we would need is do I need the details whether the room was active? Like, because it's already in an active array, so I probably don't need that information whether the room is active. So I think I'm just not going to include that information. It's not needed. I will handle it outside. If I'm gonna have inching, I think I'm just gonna leave it at this, and I would have an array of these. So my information will be something like that. Okay, so that would be, I think that would be the active rooms information, and then I would search that for the room and get the temperature from the current room and get the temperature from the current room in Sorry, I need to switch the screens for you so you could see it. So how it would work is I would have to take the temperature from here and update the temperature to the current room and keep updating every time I have a new temperature. So if I'm looking for kitchen, I'm getting a temperature from kitchen. I'm going to this script and I'm pushing the kitchen. Let's say this is my kitchen. And I'm updating this variable here. So that way. And then every so often I would have to draw an average from this room. So I would have to check all these values together, get an average, and then use that average as my ambient temperature, which I have it in here. Now, submitting the information from PRR would maybe... Oh, sorry, I need to take this. Oh, I have to apologize, you guys. Unfortunately, I have a small emergency downstairs, and therefore I need to go. I will definitely continue working on this, but yeah, I need to go downstairs right now. Sorry, guys. Okay, but we fixed Google, and we have showcased you how to add the temperatures, so you could do it like this. Probably in the evening time I'm gonna continue working on this one for a bit and figure out if I can add PRs to control this. It would be quite fun if I can puzzle it. It's gonna be complicated. I'm not going to pretend it's gonna be complicated to make it useful. We'll see if it works, and I'm definitely gonna have a write-up about this soon, where instead of this raw me trying to think out loud and probably being very, very boring, have it a short write-up that tells you how to do it, where to implement your changes, and how to download the entire script, and that way you can enjoy it. Okay, the concept's there. I'm gonna go now, so see you in a bit, guys. Thanks for joining me, and sorry for leaving so on a quick notice.